Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, I know there may be some new people finding my channel through this video. I'm Hannah and I have lived in Nashville for about 6 years now. For those years I was in college, so I was like going home more to Knoxville where I'm from, but for the past 2 years I've lived here like full-time in Nashville, and I realized I don't think I've ever done a video on like a sit down what it's like to live in Nashville, and so I thought this would be a great video to do because so many people are wanting to move to this city. It's growing so much. It's growing in the sense of people, but also construction and new buildings and roads. Just in the years that I've been here, I've seen so much change, and some good, maybe some bad, but I kind of wanted to talk about it in case you were thinking of moving here yourself. Overall, I think it's a great city to move to in your 20s. A lot of people who move here are in their 20s. So I have my own thoughts, and then I also asked you guys on Instagram some questions that maybe you guys have about the city, like places to live, cost of living, what to do if you're not into partying and drinking, which that's not my favorite thing to do. And I think when a lot of people think of Nashville, they immediately think of Broadway, going out, drinking a ton, country music. And although I think that's super fun, I love country music, there's so much more that the city has to offer, and so many little pockets and areas that when you find, you can like really find your people, find activities that you enjoy. And so I'm going to be listing some of my favorite things to do that have nothing to do with drinking or partying. So let's just go ahead and get started, and comment down below if you live in Nashville or you're thinking about moving to Nashville, or if you're just here watching because you like to support my channel, which that also means so much. Or maybe you're just curious as well, just a little Nashville curious. Okay, I'm gonna get started with your questions, and then at the end I'll kind of wrap up with things that maybe you guys didn't ask. Someone asked, how's the culture? How does transportation look like? Food, what's to do? Okay, I'm going to take, a lot of people asked like food and what to do, so I'm going to take her first two questions. How's the culture and transportation? So the culture is very, I would say, like young, creative. There are a lot of musicians. There's a ton of live music. Tourism is a big part of the culture as well. But also it's very, everyone, like the tagline that a lot of locals say about Nashville is it's a big city that feels like a small town. And even though it's growing a ton, you'll still run into people out and about. I'll be driving, I'll see one of my friends walking down the street. And there's so many parts of Nashville that like each neighborhood has its own culture and its own kind of feel and type of person. But what's nice is all the neighborhoods are really close together still. So I've lived in a lot of different areas. I'm currently in West Nashville, which is very like neighborhoody, suburban. There's still, like where I live, there's still walkable coffee shops and Pilates studios and things like that, but there are more neighborhoods and houses and like more schools, and so more like families. Meanwhile, East Nashville is kind of similar, but East Nashville is definitely, they say, like more grunge. It's where I feel like a lot of like musicians and artists live, and it has really good food though, so it's a little less like school system uppity neighborhood and a little bit more like grunge, East Side food and creatives. And then there's like Germantown, which is such a great walking neighborhood, and I'm like 10 minutes to Germantown, 15 minutes to East Nashville. So even though I'm in like a separate neighborhood that has a separate culture, I would say all the neighborhoods are like a 10 to 20 minute drive, just depending on traffic. Germantown is a very growing area because it's very sweet. I think it's probably one of the more expensive areas to live in or like to buy property in, just because it is so much is coming to Germantown. But again, really good food, very walkable in Germantown. Then there's like Berry Hill, where I used to live, which is like southeast. That again is a little bit more up and coming. You probably find like cheaper rent options there, but it's still a great place to live. And then there's like the Gulch, which is a very expensive place to live. It's very touristy because it's so close to downtown. I've also lived in the Gulch. That's where I lived last year, and it's very fun because there's a lot of like nice cocktail bars, nice restaurants, healthy options, but you are kind of getting closer to downtown, and so it would get very touristy and busy. And then of course there's like downtown Broadway, which I wouldn't recommend to live unless you knew you were going to go out all the time, or your job is downtown and you want to be walking distance to your job. But downtown is a super fun place to visit. It's where there's a lot of offices, obviously, big businesses. That's also where Broadway, the biggest nightlife scene is. I only go downtown maybe like once a month for like if I need to go to 5th and Broadway, which is like a shopping area, or like I maybe go out on the town in downtown Broadway like a few times a year. Like you'll find that once you move here, maybe it's like a draw at first if you like to go out, but I think locals will kind of tell you that we don't go to Broadway as much as maybe tourists think we do, just because there's so many other amazing bars and restaurants and things to do in Nashville, and Broadway just gets so crowded because of tourists. So that's another part of the culture, is the tourism. Nashville is very big with tourism, which is fun in some regards because it's a place that everyone wants to visit and have fun. There's always live music any night of the week. There's multiple places where you can find live music, people having a good time, but you will find that like Thursday through Monday is the busiest time. Traffic gets heavier during the weekends, walking traffic gets heavier. Restaurants, if you're going out to a restaurant with a group on a weekend, like you'll probably need a reservation just because they get busier. So it's just something you learn to live with. It may be fun at first, and then it may get annoying, and then you'll kind of learn to live with it. That's kind of how I felt with it. But overall, I'm obviously very thankful for the tourists because that's a huge part of our economy here and helps the city grow. But with the tourism also brings the cost of living higher, which I will get into in a second. As for transportation that this person asked, that is the probably biggest downside to Nashville, is we do not have public transportation system. We do have a bus system, but I was just recommended in college to not take it because of safety reasons. I don't know, that was 4 years ago. That was longer than 4 years ago. That was like 5 years ago, so I don't know how it is now. I was just always told, like, bring a car, drive your own car. I've never taken the bus here, so it could be a great way, but most people, everyone I know personally drives. We don't have a train or subway system or anything like that. We do have a lot of Ubers and Lyfts, but if you're going to order one on the weekends or at night, it can get pretty pricey. So most people drive, which also is what adds to traffic because our roads are very behind like the amount of growth that Nashville's had, and so you will find traffic specifically weekdays, rush hour, like going in and out of the city, and then also you'll find a lot of traffic maybe weekends downtown. Just keep that in mind as well, depending on your location of where you live and your job. Definitely factor in rush hour traffic because it may seem like you only live 20 minutes away from your work, but if you're leaving Nashville or going into Nashville at the same time as, rush hour traffic, it could go from 20 minutes to over an hour. So it's not the worst traffic in the world. It's not Atlanta, it's not LA, but it's definitely getting worse until Nashville kind of fixes this problem. A few people asked about the safety, so I will go ahead and say, like, I've always felt safe. There's never been a situation where I really felt unsafe in Nashville. However, I am a very proactive and aware person. I don't do anything at night by myself. I'm always with friends, or like I will Uber by myself at night, but like I'm always going somewhere to meet friends or to meet up with someone. And even like weeknights and stuff, I don't even like get gas at night or like go to Target late at night. I just like try to do that stuff during the day because my job allows for that. And of course, like any city, there's going to be things that are unsafe about it. You're living in a metropolitan area, so it's not like a small town where you maybe have less worries about safety. Things definitely still happen here. You have to be on guard, but I think I've done a good job of like being aware and making the most of situations and like planning my days and weekends around safety to where, knock on wood, I've never been in a situation where I felt super unsafe. So that's just my personal thoughts. I'm sure friends and other people have had other thoughts about it, worse or better. But for me, I just try to be very aware and proactive. And I think aware is just like the biggest thing. Like you just have to be smart. Okay, someone asked about the weather, the neighborhoods and the weather. I talked a little bit about the neighborhoods. The weather here is dependent on the season. So we get all 4 seasons in Tennessee, which I've grown up with and love. I love having very hot summers, really pretty falls, winter we usually get like a few days of snow. The rest of our winter is cloudy and rainy or just cold. Some days in the winter we will get a warm day. Like sometimes we'll get a 70-degree day in January. It's just random. But then the next day it'll be 40 and rainy. So, but I would say our winters are mild because we really don't get that much snow, but we'll get a few days here and there. And then we have usually like a few weeks, like maybe a week or two of a nice spring, and then it gets hot. Like it is May right now, and Sadly, it's beginning of May, like May 3rd, and it's like 85 degrees today. So it kind of just depends. I think we're going to dip back into the 70s, but our summers get up to like 90, low 90s, very humid, which I don't mind. I, again, grew up with it. I really like our summers and falls. Like that is my favorite time of the year in Tennessee, but we do get all 4 seasons with a mild winter. So I think the weather's great. It's obviously not LA. It's not going to be nice year round, and we do get a good amount of rain. Also, we have a few tornadoes every year, I will say. I think this past year we maybe had 2 warnings / watches where like I took cover in my apartment building. So also just be aware of that. That wasn't something I knew before moving to Nashville. So we do have a short tornado season, and there have been some damages that have been very destructive in the past years, like since I've lived here. 2020 was a bad year, but again, that's just part of it all, and that's what the weather's like here. A lot of people asking price of living, cost of living, not just rent, but restaurants. So overall, Nashville is probably the most expensive area to live in Tennessee. Like I said, I'm from Knoxville, and I think Knoxville's getting a little close, but not as much as Nashville. And a big part of that is it's the state capital. It is the biggest city in Tennessee, and we have so much tourism. I would say the rent prices are pretty fair. They're going up every year almost, but there's a lot of new apartment buildings opening up, and my biggest tip always when looking for apartments is try to move into actually a brand new apartment building that's like empty, because they're going to give you a lot of deals to help fill up the space. They just want to get tenants in there paying rent. So there's new apartment buildings being built everywhere. There's one literally right next to my apartment right now being built, and so there's a lot of options for housing. I would say if you want to live like in one of the neighborhoods that I mentioned and you're living in a studio, you probably can't find a studio in like Nashville for less than $1,600, unless you get a really great deal. 2 bedrooms go from anywhere from like $2,300, $2,500 to $3,000 plus. It really just depends when you're watching this video, but there's always options to live a little bit more outside the city and pay less. I have friends that live in Franklin, which is about like a 20-30 minute drive from Nashville, from downtown, and people who live in Murfreesboro, which these are different towns like outside of Nashville, south of Nashville, but they're 30 minutes to an hour away, and you can still do things in Nashville on the weekends and come in, but you're paying significantly less rent. As for the cost of like food and going out, I would say we're getting like kind of on par with sometimes LA or New York. I visit LA and New York often. I visited multiple times within the past year those cities, and I feel like the restaurants I am paying, if you go out to like a sit-down restaurant, I'm paying pretty much the same price in Nashville as I do when I go out to eat at a sit-down restaurant in New York or LA, which is unfortunate. I would say cocktails here, like if you go to a nice place, they are going to be on that same level too of being like around $20. However, I do think Nashville has a lot of great food and drink options that you can find that aren't like the nicer touristy spots for less, where you can find a $13 cocktail, a $6 beer, $3 tacos. Like you can find those hidden gems places, and there's so much food here, like so many great restaurants, so many great hole-in-the-wall spots, so many great local spots. We're very big on our local food and coffee shops. Like you'll even see in the Nashville airport that they highlight all the local coffee shops and restaurants, because like we're very proud of them, and I love supporting them. I usually eat local actually, just because that's what's available near me. But if you're going out for dinner, and again, you're having like a waiter, it's not like a grab and go type of spot, you're probably paying at least $15 for a dinner. Lunch, you can maybe get like 12 like at a taco place or like some pizza. But I will say, like, I feel again food is on the rise. I think food and drinks are definitely like the highest priced things of like living here. Trees I feel like are pretty on par with Tennessee. Coffee, most coffee shops are charging like $6 to $7 for a latte, and then if you add anything else like milk and stuff, you can be paying $8 to $9 some places for a latte, just to keep that in mind as well. So again, I feel like we're kind of on par, like food, coffee, drinks, with New York and LA, like these other really big cities. Okay, I love this question because someone said it seems like very much a party place. What do you do if you're not super into that? I'd love to know. So I kind of hinted at this at the beginning, because I go out, like actually go out, like stay out till 2 a.m. or whenever. Actually, I don't even stay out that late. I stay out till like 1 a.m. and then I'm ready to go. I do that once every other month. Like, it's just not a big part of my life anymore. I'm 24, I'm still young, I could be doing that, but just with my work and with my friends and my other hobbies that I do, I just enjoy doing other stuff more. But if you want to do that, if you want to go out every night of the week, you can here, which is exciting. It'll get expensive, but you can have a ton of fun here if you do like that party scene. There's always a place for you. Oh, one neighborhood I forgot to mention is Midtown, and that is definitely another like party going out hotspot because, like downtown, if you're not going to Broadway, another set of bars all lined up that are a little bit more casual, low-key. It's like where college students and more locals go if they're like going out. It's called Midtown, and you can also live down there, but it is going to have more of a nightlife scene. It's going to be louder, but if you're into that, then that could also be a great place to look to live because you'll be walking distance to a ton of really popular bars. So on the weekends, concerts are a big one, and not just country. I think that is something that like is a misconception about Nashville, that the only music here is country. That is very far from the truth. I went to school here and a lot of kids were out of state and not a lot of them liked country, and they like still loved the music scene. We have so many music venues, big and very small niche venues where like indie bands come and play, and you'll see a lot of people getting their starting careers here, whether you're going to a writer's round where you hear from songwriters, or there's so much music. So if you like live music, if that's your thing, you're gonna have a plethora of options, like something you could do every night of the week for the whole year straight, I promise. Besides that, I absolutely love all of our professional sports teams we have here. So I think I've been to all the sports teams now. I've been to the Tennessee Titans, which is our NFL team. I've been to our new soccer stadium, Nashville Soccer. I think it's just called SC, Nashville Soccer Club. Beautiful, gorgeous new stadium, and prices aren't too bad for that, and they're actually pretty good. And then we have a minor league baseball team here called the Sounds, which are cheap tickets, super fun. It's a great thing to do in the summer. I'm so excited for that to start up again. So I love all of our sports teams here, as well as there's this event. This is kind of niche, but it's called Nightlife 615, and they do outdoor movie nights downtown in the summer and then like into fall up until Halloween. It's one of my favorite things to do every year. I didn't get to go last year, so I'm going to buy tickets this year because I love movies, and doing like an outdoor movie night in the park. It's so packed. They have food trucks. It's so fun. I love doing that. It's like on Thursday nights. I also love, like, our zoo is a good zoo. We have this place called Cheekwood that I go to like almost once every season, and it's just this botanical garden estate, and you get to tour this like older house that was given to the estate, that was on the estate, and then like acres and acres of gardens, and they're always doing events like having pumpkins in the fall or antique car shows or like seeing all the tulips in bloom. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's seriously one of my favorite places to go in Nashville. It's like 20 minutes maybe from where I live, and it feels like you're in a different country. Like, it's just so gorgeous and serene. There's also a very active lifestyle in Nashville. You'll see people jogging, running, biking. We have a lot of great parks like Centennial Park, the park at the end of 12 South, McCabe Park is over in West Nashville, where there's golf, tennis, pickleball, lots of volleyball. Like, you will just see people, especially in like nice weather, out and about. One thing about Nashville that I will say about the culture, I totally forgot to say, is that a lot of people have interesting like jobs. So of course there's the normal corporate people, but kind of the running joke me and my friends made in college when we moved here is like no one works in Nashville, because I think a lot of people have creative jobs, they work for themselves, they have different hours, and so you will just drive by a volleyball court on a Tuesday afternoon and see a group of like 16 people playing volleyball, and you're like, don't these people work? Or like you'll go to Pilates class at 10 a.m. and I work for myself, so I'm like, I know why I'm at this Pilates class at 10 a.m., but like, why are you guys here? How do you guys not have to be at work? So you'll just see that the city is kind of always doing something no matter the time of day. And so if you do have a more flexible job, you may like that because you will never be bored. There's always something to do. People are doing stuff at all hours of the day, no matter if it's a weekday or not. So yeah, that's kind of fun, but also if you have a normal job where you have to be in office all day, it can be disheartening because people will be playing volleyball and going and getting a drink and going out to lunch and stuff all in the middle of the day. Like I said, along with having like Broadway and Midtown, the big bar areas, there's also so many cute dance clubs, cocktail lounges, a lot of rooftops at these nice hotels that are fun to go to. Those are kind of the places that my friends gravitate towards, rather than just like going downtown if we're going out for a drink or something. There's also always like craft fairs. Oh, there's a ton of farmers markets every weekend. There's farmers markets, so all over the city. So lots of thrifting, like shopping, walking around in the cute areas. There's tons of stuff you can do that's very wholesome, that does not involve drinking at all. And so I promise you, you will find stuff to do here that you enjoy, and you'll find people that you enjoy. That kind of leads me to a point that I heard from my roommate actually, and I agree with, is that it is very easy to meet people in Nashville. I'm not going to go deep into this because I actually just did a whole video about like how to make friends in your 20s, how I made great friends in like this post-grad area of my life in Nashville. Since so many people are moving here and so many young people are moving here, they're open to meeting new people. They're going out on dates. They're meeting new friends. They're wanting to create better relationships. And so people are more open to meeting new people. So I think you'll find it actually pretty easy to find and meet new people. It may take a while to kind of figure out like your vibe and your people and your group, but people are out there looking. People want to meet others, and so it's a great place to make new friends. Okay, so those were all the questions. My last point, this is random, it has to do with the airport, but if you're someone who likes to travel a lot, we are only like 20 minutes away from the airport, not including traffic, if there's no traffic, and it's an international airport. I've watched it be renovated over the past 6 years. They're almost finally done with renovations of this airport. It is so nice now. It is such a great airport with all local foods and vendors and coffee shops in the airport, and like I said, international. We have so many flight options. I love flying out of BNA. Last year when I went to London, we had a direct flight to Heathrow, London from Nashville. It was so great. So yeah, that's just another little perk. If you currently live in a town with like not a great airport, you're really gonna love having BNA in your backyard and being able to just fly and like drive 20 minutes to the airport. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I forgot in this video. Overall, I love moving to Nashville. I do really recommend it for young families, someone who maybe is getting a new job or just wants to try somewhere new. There's a lot happening all the time. It's definitely not a like quiet, peaceful life here, but there are those like pockets of areas, and like you can drive more south, go out to Franklin if you're looking to see like more grass and trees. And I feel like people here are just super nice. They're so supportive to me as an entrepreneur and a creative, not in the music scene at all. I feel super supported here, which is great. And just overall, everyone is really nice. I haven't met very many people that are rude or that make me feel unwelcomed or anything. I will say some of the people that are born and raised in Nashville are tired of people moving here, so you may get that. People are like, stop moving to Nashville, it's getting overcrowded, which I understand. Like, of course, there's days where I'm like tired of how busy it's getting around here. But at the end of the day, as a Tennessee native, I'm like happy that there's a place in Tennessee that is growing and helping the economy of the whole state as well. Literally just like if you drive for 45 minutes outside of Nashville, you're going to be seeing so much land, so much grass, so much open air, and so much space. And so Nashville does have like a way to grow and grow out, but along with that is like gentrification and people having to move, which again, pros and cons to a city growing. So just wanted to point that out as well. But it is a place that's very happening, and so if you're looking for a fun time, place to meet new people, if you have the means to live here and like deal with the increase in the cost of living, then I think it's a great spot. I don't know if I'm going to be here forever. I do want to try to live in a different area, a different city maybe at some point in my life, because I've always lived in Tennessee. But for now, at this next year, I'm going to be here for another year at least. I'm really happy about it, and I'm really happy with like the life that I've built here. It's a very comfortable life. It's but also very fun and exciting too. So what more could you ask for? All right, that is going to be it for this video. I hope this was helpful. If you're moving to Nashville soon or interested in moving, feel free to leave other questions below. I'll be very active in the comments, especially, you know, in the following months that this has been posted. If you guys have any questions, if you're moving to Nashville, stick around. I share vlogs on my channel here, share day in the lives of what it's like living in Nashville, working for myself, living here, having fun, taking trips, all the stuff. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.